In this episode of Escaping the Rabbit Hole, I'm talking about the Maui wildfires. I live on Kauai. I've lived out here for about 16 years, so Hawaii's become my home. These fires really hit home, and it took a lot out of me emotionally, thinking about all the bad things that happened. Keep in mind that I recorded this podcast a few days after the wildfires initially happened, and I'm recording this intro probably about 2 weeks after. So when you're listening to the podcast, you might hear me talking about all the wildfires that happened 3 days ago or whatever. Keep in mind this is recorded. It was recorded a while ago. It just taken me some time to get around to it. I've been in kind of a funk. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Aloha.
Welcome to Escaping the Rabbit Hole, hosted by former conspiracy theorist Antonio Perez, author of Converting Conspiracy Theorists. Antonio looks at conspiracy theories from multiple angles, such as how do conspiracy theorists impact their family and friends? How can they escape the grip of conspiracy theories? And why do they fall down the rabbit hole in the first place? You'll discover strategies to set clear boundaries with people stuck in dangerous conspiracy theories and improve your mental well-being. Here's your host, Antonio Perez.
So I'm just recording this podcast episode. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to release this. I always knew that doing this podcast would potentially take me to some dark places in my past in regards to conspiracy theories, how I constantly operated from a place of fear, operated from an external locus of control. For anybody that's aware, external locus of control is where do you place your power? Is it the boogeyman on the outside, or am I in control? Am I sitting in my own power? As pretty much everybody listening to this is aware, the fires in Maui have decimated Lahaina. I live in Kauai. Thankfully, I'm not in Maui. It's been absolutely fucking depressing. Although I have no connection to Maui, just seeing families losing their loved ones, hearing stories of babies die, just horrific stories, and then hearing stories of these predatory vultures trying to swoop in and buy people's land. It's depressing. The past 2 days, it's been a lot of doom scrolling, looking on Facebook, looking on TikTok, having a lot of magical thinking, like, oh, what if this would have happened? What if they would have been better prepared? And it sounds like the government out here they bungled it. I don't want to throw any conspiracy theories out there, but it sounds like the civil defense system didn't operate. Anytime there's like hurricanes, they'll like blast sirens. I don't know why that didn't happen, or if they would even had enough time. It sounds like it moved a block every 30 seconds. It's depressing. And without fail, conspiracy theorists have jumped on it, claiming that it's DEW, the directed energy weapons. They don't even give people time to grieve. Just like with Sandy Hook, when parents their kids have died, have been slaughtered, they didn't even give those people a chance to grieve before they start spreading their bullshit. I guess this podcast for me is a little therapeutic to get it out. I need to do some work on myself, to do some self-hypnosis. I've got a couple good self-hypnosis protocols for managing with trauma and grief. But I think sometimes you have to let grief happen naturally. But it'll get to the point that if you don't take care of it, it can just manifest in other stuff. And I don't want to take a risk of drinking again. I've been drinking 7 years maybe. I don't want to take the risk of smoking a cigarette. But if I were to do that, oh well, worse things have happened. Yeah, sometimes life sucks for people. I'm so lucky that I didn't lose anything. And one thing, when me and my girlfriend, we've been helping our elderly neighbor out since 2017. Hawaiian guy. He first saw him walk into a store a couple years ago. So I asked him if he needed a ride to the store, and then since then we'd help him with his doctor's appointments, pretty much everything. And during the pandemic, he came up every day. I take him to the beach 3 days a week, and we would just spend time. Like, he became like an adopted father out here in Hawaii, called Hanai, Hanai. He became my Hanai father. Like, he definitely showed me a lot of love. The other day it was the day after the fire, everybody saw the aftermath, or maybe it was the next day. We were driving out to the nursing home. He's in a nursing home now. We're driving out to the nursing home, and we thought about all the people that couldn't make it out of the fires, all the elderly, kids, babies, and just think about the sheer terror that people are going through. This is going to be a long, and I don't want to make it about me, but I just feel so bad for anybody that's lost family, lost everything. Think about all that culture, 200 years of that town, and it's so disgusting watching people that have like no disregard. They have no disregard, or just disregarding, of no humanity for some of those people. This is definitely the worst disaster I've been privy to, and I'm 200 some miles away. But the good thing is, Hawaii, everybody looks out for each other. There's the idea out here of ohana. It's one of the reasons why we started taking care of our elderly neighbor. He didn't have too much family here, and plus we didn't know at the time, but with memory issues, he wouldn't. We didn't see the early signs of dementia. He might not have remembered if he had family here. Doesn't really have any family that could help him. So we just started helping him. And for me, like, I got so much joy out of that. He's my best friend. Even before he broke his hip back like last November, so we had to take him to the hospital and then go to a nursing home. But before that, he'd come up for dinner every day. I'd go down, walk him home, make sure he's safe, and I'd hug him, because the older he got, the dementia was getting worse and worse, and we were worried about him falling over. And I'd go in his house, I'd sit down, talk to him, we'd just kind of shoot the shit. I'd hug him. I'm like, "You're my best friend." And he'd always reply with, "You're my best friend too." That is probably gonna be one of my saving graces during all this. That knowing that I almost have like a bigger purpose, that I have to take care of him. And don't get me wrong, he's in a phenomenal nursing home. They do a phenomenal job, but I still feel like I have to look after him. And even with all this happening now, it's bring up some more elements of shame. Originally, when he broke his hip, I just felt shame. Like, why did I do more at the hospital? Like, I should have fought more, should have pushed back. And so I had a really bad experience at the hospital. And then those elements of shame are coming through with this. With the fires, I'm thinking, like, if I get mad, if I'm mad at something in the past couple of days that's not related to the fires, and I'm like, oh my God, I feel like a bad person, because everybody's going through something bad in their life at some point. I just have to use this as a reminder to work on myself, take a breath, and use some of my processes. If anybody wants to know of some good ways to kind of manage their emotions, tapping is what I've used before. If you go to selfcarefortrauma.com, I think the website is, there's it's a free resource. They tell you how to do it, and there's a phone app for it. Another good resource is Whoop, WOOP. It's a mental contrasting tool. A lot of self-help focuses on just be positive, just be positive, just be positive. This tool works with identifying what your goal is, what that's going to do for you, the emotional payoff you're going to get, and then the inner obstacle that prevent you from getting it. And in regards to if you're dealing with like stress or trauma, you could use that Whoop process, WOOP, and you can just find the app on either App Store or the Play Store. It's a free app. For the wish, they call it a wish, which is their desire or goal, is to, I guess you want it framed in the positive, just in like 3 to 6 words. I don't know what your personal wish should be, but you want it to be kind of realistic and maybe just be kind to myself, for example. Especially in like high time. Well, that's a good one for myself. Damn, that was an eye opener. I'm actually gonna write that down. That one was my unconscious telling me I need to be kind to myself. I'm gonna jot that down so I don't forget. Play around with the process to figure out what you want to do. Another great resource, something that's helped me out immensely, has been Core Transformation. You can get the book on Amazon. If you have experience with meditation, self-hypnosis, stuff like that, you should be able to guide yourself through the process. Keep in mind that it's a very trance-inducing process. It's almost easier if you can find somebody to guide you through it. I've used that to overcome trauma of a neighbor that was killed when I was like 5 or 6. I've used it to overcome like high amounts of anxiety during the during 2020 election, not knowing like how the election was going to go. And with that one, it gave me peace that if Trump were to be elected, nothing I can do about it. And so that helped to get rid of the anxiety, because it doesn't help to be in that high stress state 24/7. You can't do anything about it. You got to focus on the inside. So I mean, if you want help with that process, I can guide you through it. Or if you contact me, I can. Maybe I might have a video that describes how to use a process on yourself. Let's see, there's that, and then there's another one. I started reading this book, No Bad Parts, by Richard Schwartz. It's a therapeutic process called Internal Family Systems. It's kind of similar to Core Transformation in the aspect that it works under the premise that we have like inner parts of us, like how to say, like a subpersonality, and these parts are not trying to hurt us, but they're trying to it's like self-preservation. They're trying to maybe keep us safe, keep us comfortable, etc. Both those processes are really good. I have more experience with Core Transformation, but I'm also getting some experience with not No Bad Parts, but with IFS, Internal Family Systems. Other good things to look into are EMDR for trauma, eye movement desensitization reprocessing. And one thing I would love to see for the residents of Maui and Lahaina is if they could get a bunch of, when the dust settles, this is going to be a long road to recovery. This is still fresh for everybody. It's only like 5 days after, 6 days. I would like to see them get a bunch of, I'm sure they're going to do it, just get a bunch of like qualified therapists, crisis counselors. I'm sure they're going to do it, and use things like especially EMDR to help them take the emotional sting out of it, because it sucks all around. One thing I noticed, I think it was yesterday, I don't know, it might have been yesterday, or maybe 2 days ago, I started with all this that's happening. I'm just doom scrolling on Facebook and TikTok, and just had a lot of what if thinking, like magical thinking, like what if this would happen? What if the town had been more moist? What if the power lines didn't drop? Blah 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 blah. I started putting myself back into the external locus of control. Look, instead of focusing on the inside, but okay, what can I do now? What can we do to help people rebuild from this? And I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, I'm kind of brain foggy, but all these people that talk about it's the direct energy weapons, seriously, not now. This kind of hits home, and I'm not even that close to Maui. But it's everybody out in the islands, we have a pretty good sense of taking care of each other. Conspiracy theorists look for problems while the rest of us have to find solutions. Who gives a shit? Let's say it was a direct energy weapon. I'm going to say 100%, I don't believe it. I think it's bullshit. But let's say it was. Who gives a fucking shit? What are we going to do about it? What are the solutions? And I would like to propose the idea that the majority of people that are donating and are working to help rebuild do not believe it's some kind of grand conspiracy theory. They're not stuck in it's the boogeyman. Oh, there's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do. So please rethink. If you are listening to this and you are conspiracy theorists, if you're on the fence, like maybe it was stop it. Ask yourself, how is this helping anybody? It's preying on people that have lost everything. They've lost their homes. They've lost their livelihood. They've lost everything. The only thing that a lot of these people that I assume, I don't want to speak for people because I'm not in that situation. Only thing they have is hopefully their ohana. Hopefully they have other people they can lean on. And like I said, Hawaii is strong. It just boggles my mind that town is completely gone, aside from maybe one or two buildings. I've been having this weird kind of trauma response. I don't want to say this as that almost. I don't know if that's. I'm not trying to make it about myself, but when I think about people losing their life and then all their pictures, culture, everything gone, every possession, I get this weird response where I get kind of dizzy and sick for a second. It's just this quick, instant flash of grief. So for me, I know that I need to work on myself. I need to do some kind of. I need to use maybe core transformation on myself to stop that response from happening. But then there's the other token. Anytime let's say if you've lost somebody and you're going through grief, and sometimes there's that fear like, well, if I stop crying, if I stop feeling bad, then did I even care about that person? So there's almost like part of me that's holding on to that. Like I need to feel bad, because if I don't feel bad, then it's like I'd never cared about. For anybody listening that wants to help, there's a couple ways you can help people. If you go to GoFundMe.com, you just scroll down a little bit. There's a list of verified GoFundMes. There's so many people that need help. Just they have absolutely nothing. Any amount of money can help. Another thing, there's a very real concern that outside greedy investors are going to try swooping up and buy and steal land from Native Hawaiians, especially when they know that when they are in a high stress state, they're going through trauma, grief, PTSD. They know that that's a perfect time for them to swoop in, which is absolutely fucking despicable. I don't know how anybody could ever think about something like that when people are still mourning their dead and haven't even found their family members. If you're on my website, you'll see a link where there's a petition to help prevent land grabs. If you're not on my website, if you go to escapingtherabbithole.com/land grab, LANDGRAB, that'll take you directly to that petition. Please sign that petition. There's people, generational families that are having a very real threat of having to leave Maui because it's getting so expensive out here, and people are obviously trying to already swoop their land up. I've already talked for way too much on this topic. Like I said, I don't know if I'm going to publish this or if this is just a way to get all my stuff out. Be safe, everybody, and please don't spread dangerous conspiracy theories.
Thanks for listening to Escaping the Rabbit Hole. To get instant access to the newest episodes of the podcast and the first 3 chapters of Antonio's newest book, go to www.escapingtherabbithole.com and enter your first name and best email and smash the button that says Get the Podcast.